Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, but also how we're going to fix it together. And the content that I'm going to show you guys tonight is going to make you want to what? What would you do? And in the comments field, let me know if I told you that the big proponent in Maine who's going to protect our gun rights is saying that the big solution is a yellow flag Amber Alert system with photos and everything. Yeah. Starting off great, guys. Everything will be linked in the description box below, and I can't wait to hear from you guys on this one. And of course, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. My brothers and sisters, we have got a situation. We all know it's coming. In Maine, you're going to have the gun control groups, Everytown for Gun Safety. That's what they're going to do. They're going to dive right into it, and they're going to try to push extreme gun control, red flag laws, waiting periods, all their little who's who, right? Well, that's kind of to be expected. But what's not to be expected are the people who are saying we're going to protect all the Mainers' gun rights by creating an Amber Alert system for their yellow flag law system. You can't make this up. Anyway, let's get into this. Let me show you enough of my intro. Let's hit it. Lawmakers and advocates prepare for gun debate as they return to the legislature. Members of both parties plan to introduce gun safety reform and spoke of common ground 2 months after Maine's worst mass shooting. Now, this is coming into legislature tomorrow. So this is Wednesday, okay, when it comes into legislature. We're doing this the night before. So you're going to see the gun controllers do what they always do. They're going to go after universal background checks, mandatory waiting periods, red flag laws, and maybe Ethan's Law, which is mandatory safe storage, depending on the locality, because they always do focus group testing. But anyway, that's what we're going to look at here. And then I'm going to show you in detail what they're saying. Well, I can't. Okay, here we go. As you can see, this came out today. Let me show you what the gun controller side is saying, again, in Maine. Representative Vicky Dadera, sure, why not? Democrat Camden founded the Gun Safety Caucus and remained its co-chair Tuesday when she met with News Center Maine over Zoom. She believed common ground can be found on policy positions like red flag laws, universal background checks, and a waiting period to buy a gun. Red flag laws are the stricter cousin to Maine's yellow flag law. Maine requires no background check for buying firearms and reverts to the National Instant Criminal Background Check System, or NICS. Let's set up camp on this one. Get your tent. It's time. So the way that they do this is so disingenuous. It is so manipulative, but they're on message. To be fair, they get credit there. So common ground can be found on every one of my main list talking points. Really? Well, I've got some common ground for you. How about the Second Amendment shall not be infringed? Hopefully we can find some common ground on shall not be infringed. That's the equivalent to what she just said. I'm going to take my policy position exactly as I understand it and exactly as I desire it, and we're going to find common ground on my area. Gun Control 101. Set the table over here where you want, and you'll end up somewhere where you want to be. Overton window. Move it as far as you can, and you'll end up still closer to your goal. That's what she's talking about. Now let's talk about the individual items. Red flag laws. Maine already has yellow flag laws. The only difference is red flag laws are much more stringent and have much lower bar to take people's rights. That's what they're going to argue here. Yellow flag law does the same thing, only requires a doctor to be involved and the police. Red flag law is like, hey, you got a pulse? Yeah, you can report them. Seriously. But anyway, let's go to the next thing. Maine doesn't have any background check. Well, that's a lie. Every state in the entire United States has mandatory background checks run through the FBI, a national database, which is the NICS that she's talking about. She's trying to say we don't even have background checks in Maine. We should probably have those, pushing for universal background checks. A lie, a manipulation. Everyone that buys a gun at a federal firearm licensee has to go through a background check system. That whole lie that there's no background checks and 90% of Americans think they should have background checks. Well, good news. There's background checks everywhere. It's a big lie. And now the last one, a mandatory waiting period, which we're going to hit in a second, but I really wanted to hit the lie. And now, beautiful people, you've been waiting for the defender of the gun rights. Check this out. This is the big idea coming out of the gun rights defense side. Representative John Andrews, Republican from Paris, said his party's first priority with regard to firearms would be protecting the state and federal rights of gun owners. Okay, well, off to a good start. But he planned to introduce a bill in the coming session he believed would save lives and protect licensed gun sellers at the same time through a so-called yellow alert system. Quote, If someone does something to trigger a statewide alert, FFLs, or gun dealers, would get a text and a photo, kind of like an Amber Alert, Andrews explained. We would call it a yellow alert system, basically telling them, do not sell to this person. They are either wanted by the police or are in crisis. That's your big idea. So hey, just asking for a friend. How are you going to have all the photos of everyone who owns a gun in Maine on file? And you're going to have the ability that for a neighbor to come in with a red flag law or a yellow flag law, and they're just going to have that information handy, and you're going to send out a text across the entire state that you can't have these constitutional rights because you may or may not eventually do something? That's not horrifying. This is the gun rights side of the argument. Now, the other thing that I want to highlight here, you've got the left coming in with very well-refined, highly detailed points. Universal background checks, red flag laws, mandatory waiting periods. And you've got the gun rights side of the aisle walking in and going, well, how about a yellow flag Amber Alert system where all your photos are going to be in a centralized database, and then if that happens, it'll be sent out nationwide. What could go wrong? Good gravy. That's what I will say to you there. But let's continue, because we're back to the gun defense side after that idea. Andrews said Mainers who shouldn't own guns can fall through the gaps in the federal background checks. Tell me they work, but they don't work. And felt his proposal benefiting all law-abiding Mainers. I think that would be very helpful for the state to heal if we can work on positive solutions that don't infringe on people's rights, but go out of their way to help keep people safe, he said. You are buying the line. The gun control advocates have set up this camp on safety and the government providing safety. The government's job is not to provide safety from your rights. That's the entire point. No one wants to say it. The government is not there to curtail your rights to keep everyone safe without due process or a conviction or a jury of your peers. All sorts of little things that are built right into those constitutional protections that they completely ignore with red flag laws and some yellow flag laws, and now a yellow flag alert text message. What are you doing? Anyway, I got one more for you, and then I'll tell you how I would respond to this. David Farmer represents the Maine Gun Safety Coalition. In wake of October's mass shooting, started its legislative priorities included a red flag law, 72-hour waiting period, expanded background checks, and an AWB, or an assault weapons ban. Of course, that's like the garnish on top. Maine is full of responsible gun owners, Farmer said, but unfortunately, it's all too apparent now that we are not immune to gun violence. If you ever thought you were immune to any type of violence, you were obviously in a misunderstood point in time. Here's the thing, and this is the way that I would wrap this video. This is the way I would do it. You can't infringe upon everyday, in this case, Mainers' rights because someone made a poor decision and basically popped off insane actions which impacted other people. So because of someone else's actions, everyone else must suffer under a system of safety and control because a criminal had a murderous intent and then took into action, not to mention all the red flag laws, all the red flags that were there in place, not to mention the yellow flag laws that were already in place. There are so many ways to defeat this and have a everyday conversation around how we stop this from happening. And you want to go with this novel new idea of a yellow flag Amber Alert system, particularly against those that own guns? Starting off strong, guys. Starting off strong. And that's what I've got for you. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.